Today, I want to talk about why I do not count calories anymore. And so I'm curious, have you ever counted calories before? And what was your experience like? Have you ever been on like a low calorie diet or a calorie deficient diet, specifically where you were counting calories or keeping track of what you were eating, etc.? And this can be for weight loss, but also for other conditions. So sometimes you may be doing this for autoimmune conditions or for chronic illness, for chronic fatigue, etc. So I'm curious to hear what your experiences have been as well. And I'm going to share today why I don't count calories anymore. And I'm in the best shape of my life at this point. And how I've come to this place. And again, today I'm going to be specifically sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly about low calorie diets. And for those who didn't catch my first video in this series on the SAD diet, go ahead and click the link below. There you'll be able to just sign up for the full series so you'll get all the videos and make sure that you don't miss any of them. What I'm doing in this series is I'm going to be critiquing various diets that many of you have known and or know of, and I'm going to be sharing my perspective from my personal experiences and also my experiences as a holistic and integrative doctor of physical therapy. So again, the link is right below. Even if you're watching on YouTube, that's going to be down below so you can get the full series. So let's go back and I'm going to share my experience. This was, again, probably 15 to 20 years ago. And I was let's go back to the beginning. My eating habits were not great when I was in high school and college, especially starting off college. And I was just eating, whatever, not thinking about much. I was stressed out with schoolwork. I was in a lot of really challenging classes. I was doing a lot of extracurriculars as well. So there was a lot going on in my life, and quite honestly, food wasn't a priority, or nutrition wasn't a priority at the time, which is fine. That wasn't where the stage that I was in my life. And same thing, as I'm sharing these experiences, I want you to know that this is a judgment-free zone. No matter where you are in your journey, in your health journey, your wellness journey, your healing journey, everyone is welcome, and there's no judgment, because I've been there as well in those places, and many of you have as well, which is all good. So back then, again, nutrition wasn't a priority for me. I wasn't looking at the food that I was eating. I wasn't making connections to how it was making me feel, etc. And so after putting on some pounds, after being in college, and I hit the freshman 15, as you call it, with way too much partying and eating really unhealthy foods at all hours of the night, I decided I was already undertaking a nutrition degree. So I was taking that information and that knowledge that I was gaining through those classes, and I was like, all right, cool, I can lose weight. All I have to do is make sure that my calories in are less than my calories out. So I need to expend more calories, use more energy than I'm taking in, and I'm going to lose weight. So what I did is I started tracking all of my food, and I went on a pretty restricted diet. I was exercising quite a lot at the time. So I was doing a lot of cardio. I was also doing weight training and strength training at the same time. And what was happening is that I wasn't losing weight. And it was really frustrating to me at the time. And it was almost like I felt like I was hitting my head against the wall, because I was doing all of the right things, right? I was exercising for hours and hours. I was eating a restricted diet. And at the same time, I had horrible cravings for food. I felt like I was depriving myself. I felt like I was starving. And I wasn't feeling, what's the best word I'm looking for? Like full and content. And so it was this constant struggle of like, all right, how much am I exercising? How much am I eating? And quite honestly, for me, it was very anxiety provoking to have to track everything. And it brought a lot of anxiety and created an unhealthy relationship with food for me. So that's my first critique and really ugly factor of going on a low calorie diet, where you are making sure that you are tracking your calories and you are on a deficit. One is because it can create this really unhealthy relationship with food. Now, it doesn't happen to everyone, and for those of us who are prone to anxiety, this has shown a link in the mental health world as well to having an unhealthy relationship with food and creating potentially eating disorders in the future. So this is one of the biggest critiques that I have, and why I don't actually recommend people go on this low calorie diet. So the next thing let's talk about is what did I feel starving all the time? Why did I feel deprived all the time? What was happening is that I was exercising so much, I was putting such a demand on my body that now it needed to replenish, to build muscle, to restore blood sugar, to have the processes of my metabolism going forward. Now what happened is, because I went on such a low calorie diet, I actually slowed down my metabolism. So it did the opposite of what I wanted it to do. So with lots of extreme exercise and a low calorie diet, I actually slowed down my metabolism, and no wonder I wasn't losing weight. So what ended up happening is I was slowing down my metabolism, plus I was working out a lot, and I was getting really, really hungry. So what ended up happening is I would go and have a huge Subway sandwich, sometimes two, because I would be, again, so starving and feeling deprived after working out for hours. And those, that sandwich or two would have totally undone the caloric restriction that I was doing for the rest of the day. So it was a really unhealthy balance. And again, that fed into the anxiety. It fed into self-criticism and self-judgment about why wasn't I losing weight, etc. And, so I do want to validate that scientifically when we're looking at this, right? To lose weight, yes, you do want a calorie deficit. Now, what I'm getting at is that it is unhealthy to have these really severe restrictions and paired with a lot of intense exercise. And so essentially this is really different for each person, and it's one of my core beliefs is that everything needs to be customized and individualized for you. So at the time I didn't really have guidance. I was just going off of information I got in my nutrition classes, and many of you may be going off of diet plans or little ideas that you saw online as well. So you may not be getting a lot of guidance as well. And I know from my personal experience, it created a lot of misery. It created a lot of tension, self-criticism, self-judgment, and it did not lead to my weight loss, which is what I wanted at the time. So I wanted to go back into what I wish I knew at that time and how I would have done things differently. And this really goes back to the 5 pillars that I strongly stand for and that I work with my clients and patients with. So number 1 is nutrition. So it's not just about having a low calorie diet or less calories. What kind of nourishment are you getting from your food? So again, when I look back at my diet at that point, I was still eating a lot of processed food that's found in the standard American diet, a lot of fortified food. So I thought that I was getting my nutrition. However, I was eating a lot of empty calories. And so even though this food was fortified, it wasn't giving me the nutrition and nourishment that my body actually wanted, which led to feelings of always being deprived and starving. And even though I was eating food, I wasn't feeling nourished. And my body innately knew this and was trying to get me to eat more nourishing foods. However, in comes blood sugar, in comes gut health, which we'll talk about in a moment, in comes all sorts of other things which play an impact on your cravings, which play an impact on your behaviors around food as well. And so what was happening, it was this constant balancing act that I was trying to do to get to this calorie deficit, and it was not working because I wasn't eating nourishing foods. So that's my number 1 tip, is when you are trying to lose weight or get healthy for other reasons, whatever they may be, you want to make sure that you are eating really highly dense, nourishing foods, because that way your body innately regulates. So when you eat these nourishing foods, your body feels satisfied. It feels fulfilled. It feels like it's gotten what it needs nutrition-wise. So then you're not going to have the cravings for all these other foods. Now, number 2 is gut health, which I alluded to earlier. And this is, again, one of my specialties, because gut health, what it is we have a gut microbiome. So this is a ecosystem of different bacteria and viruses and fungi and yeasts, parasites, and all sorts of other critters, we can call them, or organisms that live in our gut, so in our digestive system. Now when this is in balance, it creates a perfect harmony where our food is being absorbed well, it's being digested well, we're able to use the nutrition and nourishment from our food. It also has an effect on our mental health through something called the gut-brain axis. So it affects our emotions, how clearly we can think, how much brain fog we have. So especially, I love working with ambitious and driven individuals who may be business owners or entrepreneurs or coaches, or who may have a really fast-paced work schedule, right? Or trying to achieve this work-life balance. This is where, again, when we work on our gut health and improve our gut microbiome, then we actually can think clearer, we can actually make better decisions, we can have more clarity, we can be more charismatic, and not just in work, but again, in our personal lives. So with our loved ones, we can actually be present. So gut health is number 2, which is crucial to pay attention to when you are wanting to lose weight or, again, trying to get healthy. At the same time, I do want to mention that gut health is way more than just a probiotic. And there is another free series that I have that focuses just on that. So if you go ahead and click on this link, this series, go ahead and sign up for this free video series. I'm going to include this link for that second series, including the gut health components that are missing and that no one knows about. I'm going to include that in the email that I'm going to send out with this one. So go ahead and sign up. Make sure you don't miss that. So far we talked about nutrition and gut health, making sure we're getting nourishing foods, making sure we're paying attention to gut health. One other thing I want to mention is with gut health, if you do have a yeast overgrowth, so certain yeasts will make you have more cravings for the sugary foods, for those unhealthy foods. Same thing, blood sugar regulation is a big thing that I work with my clients on and patients on, because when our blood sugar is doing this all day, that's also when we get the cravings, we get hangry, and we just want to eat and eat and eat. Now the third piece is nervous system regulation. So when we are eating nourishing foods, right, if our gut health isn't balanced, then we're not going to be able to absorb them and utilize them. It's going to affect our gut microbiome, our digestion, our absorption. And now the third piece is if our nervous system isn't regulated. And what this means is if we are in fight or flight, where we feel unsafe at a certain level, or we feel like we're being triggered constantly, or we feel like we're just constantly angry or irritated or frustrated, then this state, this nervous system state, is literally creating a physiological response so that our body is not able to digest. But the opposite, and what we actually want, is we want to be in the rest and digest state, which is called the parasympathetic state. When we're in the rest and digest state, our body knows that it's safe, and we can actually start absorbing our nutrition, we can start digesting properly, and this is where things like bloating come in. This is where things like having loose stools come in, right? Have you ever been so nervous that you ended up getting diarrhea or something like that, right? This is a prime example of how nervous system dysregulation leads to GI upset. Have you ever experienced that? You don't have to post it personally, but if you want to, go ahead and send me a message. So nervous system regulation is number 3, so crucial, because you could be eating all the right things, you could be even taking all the right supplements, probiotics, etc., but if your nervous system isn't regulated, your body's not going to be able to utilize it. Now, number 4 is emotional energetics. And this is something that took me a long time to realize how important it was. Now, emotional energetics, what it means is our emotional health and our energetic health, so our energy fields. We are energetic beings. And so have you ever been, again, overwhelmed by something and you just find yourself like emotionally eating, where all of a sudden, you thought you were going to eat like, a couple spoonfuls of ice cream and now you're eating the whole container, or where you're going to eat just one cookie and now you're eating the whole container. Same thing, we can be doing a low calorie diet, but if we get emotionally triggered and all of a sudden now we're eating the whole container of things because we have an emotional trigger, it's going to undo all that hard work that we did beforehand. So this is number 4, and one of my key components, and something that I really specialize in, is working in emotional energetics. When we can start, 1, identifying the emotions that are coming up, integrating and processing them so that they don't become trapped emotions in our body. then we can release them, and we don't have these emotional eating habits. We start releasing some of these unhealthy patterns and behaviors that we have had in the past, and maybe even now. Now, number 5 is something that few are actually, I feel like, are aware of. And this is something that I call intuitive eating. Intuition is something that, again, has played a major role in my personal journey. And when I really started paying attention to my intuition, everything changed. And this has helped me not need a low-calorie diet. I don't track calories anymore. For reasons that I mentioned before, it wasn't great for my mental health and my anxiety. It wasn't working at the time anyways. But now that when I'm eating really highly nourishing foods, I'm working on my gut health. So my gut health is probably the best it's ever been in my entire life right now. So that means healing the gut lining. It means improving the gut microbiome. So my food's able to be absorbed and digested properly. Now, number 3 is that when my nervous system is regulated, so I can access my intuition. And this is a key component that many people don't know about. Many people feel like they're out of touch with their intuition. One is because society has taught us not to be in tune with our intuition. But 2 is also that when your nervous system is in dysregulation, you cannot access that divine wisdom and knowledge. So nervous system regulation is a component that needs to come before intuition. So when we get our nervous system regulated, now we can again access this intuition. When our nervous system is regulated, again, our body is in the rest and digest state, so we can actually again use all of these supplements and foods, etc., that we're consuming. Now, again, I've done a lot of work on my emotional energetics, so again, my energy field is able to again access that intuition, and I'm no longer doing this emotional eating. So now this 5th piece is the intuitive eating. What this means is that I use certain strategies called divine muscle testing, and there's various ways that I teach you how to use these techniques as well, and really empower you to know what's best for you in the given moment. Because there may be a food that's great for you one day that your body actually doesn't want the next day. And how much of it do you actually want to eat? Or are you just cleaning off the plate because that's what you've been taught since you were a child? When we do intuitive eating, we really get in touch with ourselves. And we start taking away all of the cultural and societal and familial kind of training and conditioning that has been brought on us. We start taking away those layers, and we start becoming so in tune with ourselves and our bodies that we know what's best for us in the given moment. What is it that we actually want to eat? Do we need 1 supplement? Do we need 2? How many pills of that supplement do we need to eat? And this goes for parents as well with your children. You can use these same techniques that way as well. And so combining these 5 factors is why I don't count calories anymore. With my intuition, I intuitively know what my body wants, what it needs. It doesn't mean that I don't have, little snacks and things like that here and there. And at the same time, I'm eating highly nourishing foods that are sustaining my body. My body feels nourished, so it no longer has these cravings. I've worked on my emotional components, so I'm no longer doing emotional eating. My nervous system is in regulation so that it can absorb and digest this food. My gut health is optimal, so that, again, absorption, digestion happens in this optimal state. It works with my brain, so I have mental clarity. I have peace. I have happiness and joy. Isn't this what we all want? So this 5-step system is what I work with specifically with my clients. It's my proprietary process, and I walk you through and guide you through step by step. So if this is something that you're interested in diving in for, I do offer consultations or a 30-day intensive for those of you who are really ready to hit the ground running and get this guidance and care that you need for the month ahead. And then there are ways that we can work further together into a 5-month program, my mastermind, which is where you truly experience a transformation. Because a consultation here or there is great, but that's not going to give you a transformation. Let's be honest. How many times have you done a meditation once, or you've done a fitness class once? Did you see the results that you wanted at that point? No, we don't. Because it creates It's creating these lifestyle habits, these building blocks that you create and do over and over that really creates the transformation and change. And again, when I work with you, we work on all levels. So we work on the physical, we work on the energetic, the emotional, the spiritual, the mental, the beliefs that you're thinking, etc. All of these are crucial components in your transformation and your health, wellness, and healing journey. So go ahead and comment me below if you're interested in more information about the consultation, or I'll include those links below as well. And again, I wish you and your loved ones all the best. And one thing I wanted to mention is that if you have other diets that you'd like me to critique, I have a list of a few that I'm going to go ahead and do this video series on. But if you have a specific diet that you want me to critique, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to do a video